Which is the best Japanese supercar on sale today? Is it the Nissan GT-R Nismo or the Honda NSX? Analog versus digital. This is old school. It's a little bit like going to the pub and chatting someone up. You know, like, do you have any English in you? Would you like some? Sorry, whereas this is a bit like going on Tinder and just swiping right, swipe right on everyone. The more the merrier. Yeah. Anyway, I'm Matt Watson and you're watching Car Wow. Let's start off this video by talking about the price. So the Nissan GT-R Nismo starts from £180,000, whereas the Honda NSX is a relative bargain because it starts from £150,000. However, when you spec it to be the same as the GT-R, then they come out as the same price. So this one is £180,000 because it's got extras on it like the carbon fibre pack, you've got carbon fibre in the engine bay, you've got the upgraded carbon ceramic brakes, which you get as standard on the GT-R. Now let's compare these cars' designs, and they look so different, don't they? So this is a classic supercar shape, very low. It's got a kind of like a smiley face. It's a bit insect-like, especially in this orange paint, which is extra by the way, but it works really well. Do like the number plate they've got on this car, NSX 999, which if you're not from the UK, that's the number you call if you need the police. The GT-R's number plate's pretty cool as well, G3, grrr. And it really has got a grrr about it. It's like an angry fish, like it will just bully you out of the way. Which looks best from the front? Oh, it's so different, but I think I prefer the GT-R ever so slightly just because it's so in your face. This is pure supercar, low slung, mid-mounted engine, whereas this is a GT-R, isn't it? Now you can get a GT-R from £80,000, whereas this one is £180,000. Yes, it's got all the carbon fibre bits on it and the extra bits and pieces, but it is still a GT-R. Can't fault it for fake vents though, real vents. Shame about the cheap plastic badging there. Carbon fibre roof, carbon fibre side skirts, 20-inch alloys all round, carbon fibre rear wing. It does look like this wing is on backwards. Can you see that? All the vents on the NSX, they're real as well because it's got so many radiators. How many radiators, Lawrence? 10 radiators apparently on this. Insane. So it's got 20-inch alloy wheels at the back, 19s at the front. Oh, it's sleek, and a carbon roof. Very sleek looking car. They both have a bit of a problem with their doors, right? This is something very common to both of them. So this is a bit of a faff to open the GT-R's door like that, but it's not quite as much of a faff as it is to open the door on the NSX. So you've got to get your fingernail under there to pop that out. And I've just done my fingernail. Brilliant. Comparing both these cars' arses, you would think that the Nismo was way heavier than the NSX. It's not though. This weighs in at 1,703 kilos, which means it's no lightweight, but it's still lighter than this because this is 1,759 kilos. It's because of all the batteries and motors and hybrid tech on it, you see, adds weight. Interestingly though, while they look very different, they both have quad tailpipes. Hard to spot them here on the NSX, but yes, they're down here and you can put 3 fingers in them, 3 fingers in each pipe. Whereas with the GT-R Nismo, it'll take a whole fist. Look, you can fist it. Sorry. Now let's compare the car's chassis. So the NSX has an aluminium space frame, but it has a carbon fibre floor for added stiffness. Also, you've got your engine mid-mounted. That drives the rear wheels, and it has a 9-speed dual-clutch automatic gearbox plus a limited slip differential across the rear axle. You've then got 2 electric motors at the front, 1 for each wheel, and you get torque vectoring so that they can control the amount of power going to each wheel. You've also got electric power steering and 2-stage adaptive dampers as standard. Meanwhile, the GT-R has 3-stage adaptive dampers as standard. How's that for one-upmanship? It's also got hydraulically assisted power steering for that old school feel. The chassis itself is a monocoque steel. The engine is mounted at the front, and then they've got this weird quirky way of doing the 4-wheel drive system. So you've got a rear transaxle. However, when you launch the car, that setup does mean that all the power goes to the rear, 100% to the rear, so you get a good launch. Now I'll actually launch this. What the heck is that? Sounds like the world is coming to an end. Maybe Godzilla is heading our way. So you've got that 4-wheel drive system. At the back, you've got a limited slip differential, whereas at the front, it does that thing where it'll brake the front wheels to try and do torque vectoring by braking sort of thing. It's not that effective, but it sort of tries to work. Anyhow, let's compare how these cars actually drive by driving them on a twisty mountain road. So straight away this thing feels like an absolute monster. The steering, you notice it, you go over bumps, it kicks back to you through the steering wheel because you've got hydraulic power steering, old school style. I got the suspension in the medium setting, the drivetrain in aggressive, and the stability on, because this will break traction, it really will. Even though it's got loads of grip, it's got loads of power as well. Whole car is busy though, shaking, wobbling, telling you what's going on. And then in comes the power, oh, and this thing just flies. Everything is a sensory experience, it really is. The noise, the brake pedal feel, which is strong, the steering, whoa, and the grip. This thing flies, absolutely flies, but you sort of manhandle it around. You really have to wrestle it. Oh, it's not called Godzilla for nothing. It's going to be interesting to see how that NSX compares, because this, you get a bit of a workout when you're driving this thing fast, let me just tell you that much. Jumping out of that GTR into this NSX, it just feels so very different. It's got a slightly artificial sound to the engine note. It's so much smoother over bumps, so much more relaxed and refined, and easier probably to go quicker straight away. The way it's dealing with those bumps is impressive, and the steering's not fighting back at you. But at the same time, it doesn't have quite the feel or the urgency of that in the GTR. Despite all its digital features, you can't really tell that it's doing clever stuff with its electric motors. It just seems to hook up and get you down the road. It feels natural, it really does. They've done a great job on it. And even though it's slightly heavier than the GTR, it actually feels a little bit lighter. Is it such an experience? It's not as intense, and it's confidence inspiring. The GTR you need big balls for, whereas you can drive this quick with little teeny balls that I reckon when you get into the groove of the GTR, it will ultimately be a little bit more rewarding. This GTR Nismo has a claim to fame. It has the biggest brakes ever fitted to a Japanese production car in the history of the world. So you got carbon ceramics all around, 410mm discs up front, gripped by 6-piston calipers. At the back, 390mm discs, gripped by 4-piston calipers. The Honda NSX's brakes are a little bit smaller. So as standard, you get steel brakes, and you have 368mm discs at the front, gripped by 6-piston calipers, whereas at the back, 360mm discs, gripped by 4-piston calipers. But if you upgrade to these carbon ceramics, then your diameter increases at the front to 381mm discs. And at the back it stays the same, 360. So it's got slightly smaller brakes than the Nismo GTR, but will that have an effect on the braking performance? Let's find out. Right, let's see how good this NSX stops. So, full emergency stop from 70 miles an hour. Use my specialist timing gear to test it. See what distance it takes to stop. Here comes the line. Oh, is it regenning as well? Regenning, putting some energy into the battery while I'm braking. That's actually pretty blooming good. 41 metres. It's stopped from 17, 41 metres. Impressive. Right, now for the Nissan. Let's see if you can beat what the Honda did. Here we go. Here comes the braking zone. What did we get? What did we get? Oh no, look, oh sorry Nissan, 44 metres I'm afraid. Looks like that's a victory for the Honda. Now let's compare these cars' interiors, and yeah, interiors on either this NSX's or the GTR strong point. So this is an interior like you might expect from a supercar from 10 years ago. It's a bit plasticky in places, whereas other materials do feel quite nice and well made. I do love the seats though, they are super comfy and you sit nice and low. The steering wheel feels nice, but the paddle shifters are cheap and plasticky. Then there's this general layout, it's a bit odd, and the infotainment system, oh, it leaves a lot to be desired, this Honda infotainment system. You don't even get satellite navigation as standard. Then there's the digital dials, which are okay, but they're starting to look a little bit dated. And some of the graphics are a bit childish for a car at this price. Wait till you see the launch control icon, it's just, it's embarrassing. You'll see it soon when I launch the cars. And check this out, the cup holder solution. This. Yeah, brilliant Honda, brilliant. If the Honda's interior feels a decade old, then this feels almost 2 decades old. I mean, have a look at this. Just have a look at it. There's no digital dials here. Well, there is a little digital display with a bit of information, but it looks like they've just stolen that from an old original Game Boy. Quality isn't quite as nice either as the Honda, this leather around here and here, though I do like the Alcantara on the dash of the Nismo, which I probably just dirtied with my greasy, sweaty, sun cream-ridden hands. Like the seats, they're not quite as comfy as the ones in the Honda, but they are more body-hugging. You've got carbon fibre about the place. Plus, look, cup holders and little door pockets. You don't get door pockets in that NSX, so that's better. It's got cheap feeling paddle shifters yet again, like the Honda though. And this is the thing that I hate about this car. You need to use 2 levers to adjust the steering wheel. You almost break your thumbs trying to undo them. Look, so that's the up and down one. Now I need to release another one for the in and outy one. Look. At least the infotainment system isn't as bad as the NSX is. I mean, it's not the very latest in modern technology, but it's just easier to use than the Hondas. But that's not saying much, really. The time has come to compare these cars' engines. So they're both hand-built in Japan. Yes, this is a hybrid, which means that you think you've actually turned it off when you haven't, and occasionally it will kick in the engine to start the cooling system or whatever. Yeah, thank you very much. You've got a 3.5 litre twin turbo V6 mated to an electric motor which drives the rear wheels. Then you've got 2 electric motors at the front, and combined you have 581 horsepower and 645 newton meters of torque. Moving on to the GTR. So that has a 3.8 litre twin turbo V6, puts out 600 horsepower and 650 newton meters of torque. There's nothing else to say about that because it's much simpler than the system in that car. Let's do it, let's launch them. Honda says the NSX will do 0 to 60 in under 3 seconds. That's all they say. But will it? Floor the throttle, launch mode, here we go. Or 3.29. What's the quarter mile? 12.02. Now the car isn't weird there, it like backed out of the power. So it was fine to 60, but then the quarter mile was slower than it should have been otherwise because it backed out the power. So I went, odd. It's a Honda, it's supposed to be super reliable. What's going on with this? Let's do it. Launch, go. Oh, slightly better, 0 to 60, 3.26, did it again. Didn't like it at all. 11.84 for the quarter mile. Still not delivering the full goods. Tell you the truth, I have launched this car and got a clean run in it the other day. It did an 11.2. It's the best I had out of it, and quite a few runs at it as well. But today, it's not quite there, is it? Okay, now I'm going to launch Godzilla. So Nissan says this GTR Nismo will do 0 to 60 in 2.5 seconds. Launch mode. Feels quicker than the Honda, but not by much. 3.19 to 60. What's the quarter mile going to be? 11.28, which is the best time I've had exactly out of the NSX, but it's not the best time I've had out of a Nissan GT-R Nismo. Therefore, I think it's only right for me to do it again. Launch time. That feels a bit better. Come on, what are we going to do? 3.01, I'll take that. Should have a better quarter mile time. 11.05, not bad. Beat the Honda, beat the best I've had out of the Honda. They're the best I've had out of GT-R Nismo, 10.8. So if we can play that game, it's only fair to mention that as well. This Nissan is the quicker of the two cars. Fact. Now let's move on to what these cars would be like to live with every day, starting with practicality, something that really the NSX isn't. This boot, it's only got a capacity of 110 litres. The Nissan is 3 times the size, 315 litres. I do like the fact that it's carbon fibre there. Though this does have carbon fibre here on the engine cover, though that's optional and that's standard. So what's also standard in the Nissan? Rear seats. Now they're not really particularly big rear seats, but you can just about squeeze someone in there. if you hate them. At some point, you're probably going to want to drive your GTR up the motorway, maybe even daily it. How does it cope? Well, cruising at 70, it's not the quietest thing. It's not unbearable, but you do get a bit of road noise, a bit of wind noise. One thing you can't complain about though is the performance. So I'm just cruising 70. Now I'm on a closed track, so I can floor it now, and we'll see what happens. Watch this. Gearbox, takes a second, and then off we go. Off we go. And boy, does it pull. It pulls for days. It really does. I'm going to do it again, but I'm going to do it from slower. So here we go, 40 miles an hour, cruising along. Watch this. This is the car in comfort mode, flooring it. Takes a while for the gearbox to decide what it wants to do. You can feel it just changing down, then off we go again. Absolutely flying. What I'm going to do is show you the third gear roll on from 50, right, just to show you the torque of this engine. So here we go, I'm flooring it. Look at that, look at the speed just build. Wow. Godzilla is quick. Quick. Woo! It's livable. And it's got the performance. Is this NSX better as a daily than the GTR? Well, I'll tell you what, on the motorway, it's definitely more relaxing. But the key thing is the suspension. It's just glidey. I've got the car in sport mode, so it's got its suspension in the softest setting. Actually, I could put it into Sports Plus where it stiffens up. It's still not as bouncy as the GTR in its comfiest setting, but I'm going to go back into the softer setting, and it's just relaxing. Then there's the response, so I'm going to put my foot down now. Oh, change gears quicker then than the GTR did when you're just cruising along. Plus, you got filling from the electric motors just while the turbo spools up. You've got a bit of punch from the electric motors just to help you along. Really is good, this thing. It's so easy to drive. It really is an everyday supercar, this, absolutely. And the seats help. The seats are so comfy and cushioning. I could do mile after mile in this car. So then, what's my final verdict? Well, I think that I'd actually prefer owning the NSX. It'd just be easier to live with. But I'd actually end up buying the Nissan GT-R just because it's just got a little bit more personality. It's more of an event to drive, and that's what you want out of a supercar. And as we progress through the digital age, this will start to feel a little bit old hat with its hybrid system, whereas this will be refreshingly archaic with its just simple mechanical analog internal combustion engine setup. I love it. And that's why it wins this test. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please give it a like. If there's any other comparison videos you'd like me to do, let me know in the comments below. I will check those out. Now, I just wanted to share with you how agricultural this GTR can sound, especially when you start it. Listen to this. Listen to all the mechanical bits moving around. Hear that? The rattling, and if I put it into drive, hear that? It's like clunky. Anyway, if you want to see some more videos, click on those windows there, and if you click on that box there, you can go to CarWow to see how much our trusted dealers will give you for your car if you're thinking of selling it.